Do you want to know how to teach a child to regulate emotions? Is it even possible? Yes, it absolutely is. Even for young children, they can learn to regulate themselves. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication, as well as how to build strong family bonds and child development all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we are talking about self-regulation. In this video, we're going to be talking about calmness and how to teach children about calmness, their emotions, and self-regulation, and give you some tips that you can use to help them in the moment. In order for a person to self-regulate, they have to understand the difference between what is calm and what is not calm. Now, you might think, of course, we all know that. We've seen people that are not calm, and we've seen people that are calm. But generally, the calm people aren't actually noticed that much, or at least their calmness isn't noticed that much. We usually only notice people who are slightly out of control, because those are the ones that are more dramatic, sensational, and quite frankly, somewhat fun to watch. When a child is trying to evaluate themselves, they may not know the difference between when they are calm and when they are not calm, especially when they're young and they are just directing a lot of their actions with their emotional part of the brain. So what we need to do is we need to teach them the difference between calm and not calm, which means that we need to practice those two opposites. When you practice calmness, what you might want to do is you might want to sit and cuddle on the couch and feel yourself being so relaxed as you're reading a story together or singing a song, and then declare, "We feel calm. This is calm." This helps a child understand what it feels like. Another thing that you can do is you can go through an exercise where you close your eyes and you take deep breaths and you focus bit by bit on calming every aspect of your body, starting at your head and working your way all the way down to your feet or your fingertips, getting completely calm, thinking about your breathing and calming and nothing else. But then the children need to see the opposite of calm too, right? So we talk about what calm is, what it feels like, how nice it is, and maybe when we're talking in happy, good ways, we can declare those conversations as calm. But then when we're talking in frustrated, whiny, angry ways, then we can say, oh, that's not calm. We might even want to synthetically produce the feeling of not being calm. So you can get really angry and tense and start yelling and stomping or hitting the floor, and all of those things will lead to a feeling, a chemical feeling of not being calm. It should make it so that the person notices a distinct difference. When the child is able to differentiate between those two things, then it's time to move on to a plan for self-regulation. So having a conversation with your child about what it means to get themselves calm and what their calm plan is going to be is very productive. If you can plan your steps forward with the prefrontal cortex by planning ahead of time, then your chances at follow-through are much greater. So you might plan some words to say out loud, or how many breaths to take, or do we sit or do we stand? Are we on a couch? Where are we when we are doing our calm plan? Is there a special calm down spot? That might also be important. A calm plan is really important, especially when the children are little, or if the child struggles a little bit more with self-regulation because of maybe some neurodiversity or something like that. Make sure that your child understands that they get to choose calmness, that nothing around them, no couch or wind blowing or not blowing, is what is going to make them calm or not calm. That ultimately they focus on calm by first focusing on their calm spot or their calm plan, and then they start focusing on just getting calm, just like they did in the exercise where they focused on calming their whole body head to toe. Now, if you've subscribed to this channel already, you know that I teach a lot of skills and principles of self-government. When a person is able to self-regulate themselves, they are able to do 2 of the 4 basic skills by themselves. So the 4 basic skills of self-government are following instructions, accepting no answers and criticism, accepting consequences, and disagreeing appropriately. When a person can self-regulate, they can tell themselves stop. They can say, this is a no answer. Don't go down this track anymore. But then they give themselves an instruction and say, okay, now I'm going to close my eyes and take 3 deep breaths and focus on calmness. So they're able to disrupt their own pattern and then point themselves in a forward direction. That is incredible self-government. And you may not believe me when I tell you this, but it's possible even for babies, if they're trained. My granddaughter Clara was trained to self-regulate and take calming breaths when she was just 4 months old. Honestly, my daughter exceeded expectations. I didn't start teaching my children self-government skills until they were around 2 years old. My granddaughter Clara is 2 right now. She can do all 4 basic skills, self-regulate, earn extra chores, do all the things, even disagreeing appropriately, because they started so young with her. When she was a little baby, when she would cry, they would say, we need to take deep breaths, Clara, deep breaths. And they would blow on her little hand so that she would know what a breath is. Now, this was genius. They probably didn't even think of this, but babies often communicate with their breathing. So they might look at you and they're excited and go, or because they know that they're breathing and you're breathing, because they can feel it, right? When they're around you, and they can feel the breathing from you when they're cuddled up next to you. This is a way of communication that my daughter and son-in-law keyed into, and they started training their little daughter to take deep breaths. It was beautiful. She actually learned within a short period of time that every time that they would say, take deep breaths, Clara, and they would blow on her hand, that she could take deep breaths. And then soon they didn't have to blow on her hand anymore, and she could do it herself. By the time she was 17 months old, I remember she was having a meltdown one time, and I said to her, Clara, it's okay. Grandma's here, and I'll help fix this. And all of a sudden, she just started taking deep breaths and said she was okay. All by herself. I didn't even have to prompt her to do it. This is very common for her. Children need to be trained on what calmness is and what self-regulation looks like, and that they can choose it. And I think that's the very biggest thing. I think oftentimes we think when someone is little that they can't choose calmness, they just don't know better. They absolutely can. We always can choose. That's one part of being a human that gives us a lot of power. So teach them early on that they can choose. Now, let's say your child is older. Maybe they're 12 and they're still struggling with self-regulation for whatever reason. Maybe they have higher anxiety, or they have a hard time getting out of that emotional part of their brain. Well, still, you can work with them on what they can do to engage the prefrontal cortex. So I have a course, it's a parenting course called the TSG Parenting Course, and you can find out about it on my website, teachingselfgovernment.com. In the TSG Parenting Course, I talk about intensive teaching and something in particular called the Rule of 3. Now, the Rule of 3 is something that you use to disengage the emotional and engage the logical for the child. It helps them choose to go to front brain and to start making decisions for themselves. It's something that is pre-taught ahead of time so they know exactly how it works, but it's used in the moment when a person is starting to go out of control or maybe start heading toward back brain. The Rule of 3 and intensive teaching skills, as well as calm down spots, really do make a difference for your child's self-government. Now, I want you to have something that can help too. If you're not calm while you're trying to get them calm, well, they're not going to get calm very easily. Your calmness has a boomerang effect. If you know how to stay calm even when someone else isn't, then you can help them be calm too. So I have on my website a calm parenting toolkit, and I would like to give that toolkit to you for free right now. So if you click on the link below this video that says teachselfgov.com/toolkit, then you can have the Calm Parenting Toolkit for free. Click on the link to that video now. I'll see you there.